The following story is also available as a read-only version. Check the link in the description if you're interested. The Jade Rotunda's claim to fame is being one of the largest mammoth diners in the Orion Spur, and most likely the universe. But it isn't anywhere near Malaysia. 7 cooks, 10 kitchen assistants, 14 waiters and 2 janitors serve the commuters on top of Armstrong's busiest transport tower. Patrons sit in donut-shaped areas around the multi-level kitchen, sitting back-to-back at the furled counter on the inside rim or in the narrow booths on the outside rim. Seats are taken at every time of day because, on Armstrong, every hour is rush hour. The USA's most populous colony is the New York City, to Cicinelli's Washington. The Rotunda's 4 levels are a rock in the middle of a sea of people making their way across the rooftop platform. Aero buses, sky taxis, and courier liners land on pads and dock at ramps. High-speed elevators arrive, spit travelers out, gulp others up, and drop down into the tower again, delivering people to the suspended monorail platforms, farther down to the maglev bullet trains on the ground, or even deeper to the vacuum metro. Delivery drones navigate their way through the busy airspace, ensuring a steady supply of noodles, rice, meat, spices and vegetables for the diner. In a place like this, anyone could arrive from anywhere at any time, and be gone to anywhere else in under a minute. Not only do commuters not care about what's happening around them, they actively do not want to know. The Rotunda's public nature ensures nobody gets the wrong ideas, but its privacy makes it the perfect place for someone like Harriet Lagache to ply her trade. She's sitting on a stool, facing the wall, chowing down on her meager reng. Some Chinese man sits to her left. She cannot see him because of the curvature of the stall, but she knows he's Chinese because he's having an animated conversation in Mandarin with someone on the other end of his call. The seat to her right is empty. Whenever someone comes by, she tells them it's taken. When she's halfway through her meal, a man sits down and she does not protest. He's tall, dark-skinned, and has synthetic eyes the color of lavender. He goes by the name Slick, and is one of the most prolific hitmen in the city, probably even the planet. To his mind, that's all Harriet knows about his identity, but Slick is dead wrong. She knows his name is Gerard Johnson, 32, born in an industrial housing tower south of the main sprawl. She knows the bars he likes to go to, the names of his last 3 girlfriends, where he lives, and where he pretends to live. It's all insurance. Slick orders some nasi kandar through the little screen built into the wall in front of him. Not much over a minute later, a small section of the wall parts, and a robot pushes his meal through it from a conveyor belt. Casually, Slick slides over a tiny spool disc, and Harriet grabs it just as casually, inserting it into a sleeve com with a motion that would make any magician jealous. A video is projected onto the inside of her glasses. It's a recording from the scope of Slick's sniper rifle. He has a young woman in his crosshairs, standing on a balcony, her hair flying loose in the wind. Suddenly she falls over. A red pool spreads over the floor tiles, coming from a hole in her head. The video feed does not shake the slightest bit when the trigger is pulled. Not only is Slick an elite shot, but his weapon is worth more than some people earn in their entire life. The spool disc is ejected from her sleeve com. It's a black thread now, uncoiled, scorched, useless even if somehow rewound. Spool discs are perfect for a job like hers. Wind once, unwind once. A single recording for a single playback. Harriet takes a fresh spool disc from her pocket and winds it with the access code to an anonymous virtual deposit containing $27,000. Another one? She asks, not looking at Slick. Always looking to work, Slick responds. Harriet winds a second spool disc with the personal information of a mid-tier businessman. His company is a subsidiary of a subsidiary of a subsidiary of one of the big megacorps, and it handles the logistics of supplying offices in the city with everything they might need to operate. He's being vetted for a move up into the lowest executive levels of the parent corporation, but so is one of his colleagues. Said colleague is clearly more ambitious than he is. With another casual motion, Harriet pushes the spool discs back to Slick. As always, the deposit code is on the one in the green case, and the info about the killer's next target is on the one in the red case. Slick finishes his meal and leaves. Harriet follows suit soon after. She has 7 more meets like this in the Jade Rotunda today. She moves around the place, always paying her tab, walking across the platform for a few minutes, taking an aerobus for a stroll in a nearby park, then returning. She eats 7 more meals and takes pills to dissolve them in her stomach. She loves Mamak food, but at the end of every Friday she is disgusted by the very thought of it. All in all, when she takes a convoluted and unnecessarily long route home that night, Harriet has made $12,000 in commissions. She's a merchant of death, the middleman between the Grim Reaper and those who would like to purchase his services. Her home is hardly anything an exec would consider impressive, but it is far above what most people can afford. Located on the 95th floor of a skyscraper right by Apollo Avenue, it offers a splendid view over the mile-wide main traffic artery of Mankind City. The amount of vehicles passing through here at any given moment numbers in the tens of thousands, and goes from dozens of ground lanes to suborbital flight paths. Still, if the building she lives in were to tip over and fall on the road like a tree, the upper half of it would fall into the skyscrapers on the other side. Harriet passes through the small indoor garden that is her vestibule, hanging up her coat as gentle string music plays. Something is wrong. She steps over the bridge crossing the pool of gently rippling water beneath her, and notices that the lights in her apartment are already on. Holding her breath, Harriet produces a flechette pistol from her pocket and sends the environment scanners of her glasses into overdrive. She cannot access her home's video security feed. Somebody has locked her out. Careful not to make a sound, she sneaks ahead on socks, weapon at the ready. There's nobody in her kitchen, and nobody in the pantry either. When she peers over the bar counter into a living room, having taken a detour to surprise any potential ambush from the back, she sees a man sitting on a couch. He is of thin build, with white hair and weathered skin, wearing a blue business suit. In his left hand is a gun, while his right is busy holding his chest. He's bleeding. Harriet recognizes him and becomes angry. This is Nando Colton, her big mistake. "You're bleeding all over my couch," he shouts, gun raised at the intruder. He does not lift his own weapon. Whether he's too weak or simply won't bother, she cannot tell. "Hey, Harry. I was just in the neighborhood. Thought I'd drop by." Colton smiles, a slight red tinge on his teeth. "Turns out you make your appointments on Friday now." "I've always made my appointments for Friday," Harriet responds. "What happened? I haven't seen you in 2 months standard, and now you come into my home injured? I don't have a doc box, I can't treat you." "Don't worry, it's not as bad as it looks. Plus, I already raided your first aid cabinet to give me a couple more hours." Colton tries to lean back casually, but flinches at some sudden pain. "I was doing mob work, got close to some media executive. Took me a long time, and when I finally got an opportunity to slip him a glass of poison, he hands it back and tells me to drink it. Bastard knew all along I was there to gank him. We need to get you to a doctor. I know a guy who has a basement practice 2 buildings over. He'll fix you up, no questions asked," said Harriet, holstering a pistol. "Come on, I just got here. Do you know how hard it was to escape that gentleman's club? I was being shot at by at least 10 security guys." It was the quintessence of Nando, always more bravado than brains. "You need medical attention. If you're not at an operating table in the next 15 minutes, you'll die, and I won't have you breathing your last breath in my fucking apartment for obvious reasons," Harriet insisted, getting ready to pull him off the couch and support him. She feels the cool of metal to the back of her neck instead. Nando's expression changes immediately. The pain is gone, replaced by the face of sheepish apologetics. "I'm really sorry about this. I'd rather not have to do it." He jumps up, perfectly fine, brandishing his revolver. Harriet is turned around by the shoulder to face a young Hispanic woman. She assumes this is Colton's new apprentice and probably lover. He's always been exploitative of the girls he works with. "Don't worry, Harry. We're not here to gank you. We just want to know about Slick," says Nando, the gangling of his movements not betraying the speed and precision he's capable of. "Why do you want to know about Slick?" Harriet is perplexed for a moment. This is not the first time she has a gun to her face. The weapon is always just a distraction. There are more pressing matters at hand. "Well, he's one of your boys, so I'm assuming you know more about him than you should because that's what you do," Nando explains. "He killed one of the boss's favorite playthings a couple days ago. Jealousy from one of his other ladies. She put the contract out. I don't know how it slipped through the cracks, to be honest. We already took care of her, but I really need to know where I can find Slick." "Have you no fucking principles, Nando? You don't do this type of shit," Harriet yells. This is also typical of Nando, thinking the rules apply to everyone but him. "Come on! Principles are only good for people on the roster, you know that! Once you start working for the mob, getting steady employment for your work, the game changes." Nando shrugs. "The game doesn't change. I can't just betray one of my boys because some bitch got jealous. Besides, even if I gave you everything, you'd still have to kill me. The job went through me after all," says Harriet. This seems to be news to the young girl, who recoils from her and swings a gun around between Harriet and Nando. "You told me she had nothing to do with this," she says. "If she's the fixer who made the job happen, she needs to go, you know that. The boss said everyone involved." "Calm down, lower the gun, will you?" Nando gestures, not taking his barrel off Harriet, but looking at the girl. Harry is a professional. She had no idea about this, she's just the middleman. There's no need to put blame on her. "What are you—" The question is cut short from the girl freezing in shock. With a slight whir from a flechette pistol, Harriet has shot her through the heart. She rolls away, avoiding the girl's poorly aimed revenge. She collapses, and Harriet sits with her back on her window, gun pointed at Nando. She tries to read the man, who is currently wondering as to why she would do such a thing, but remembers that he is a true sociopath, and she was never able to tell what he's really thinking. Believing that she could cost her years of her life. "This could all have been so easy," Colton complains. "I don't want to shoot you, Harry. What we had is special. You ruined my life twice now. I hope you're happy." Without skipping a beat, Harriet pulls the trigger, not thinking of the consequences. As Nando is falling to the ground, she sprints toward the display cabinet next to her bedroom door, grabbing after the little globe of earth that's inside of it. The second the door of a panic coffin closes behind her, she hears the muffled explosion on the other side. In all the underworld of Mankind City, the one thing everybody knows about Nando Colton is that his body is rigged with a dead man switch. The looming threat of his exploding corpse has probably saved his life a number of times, but not today. Harriet looks at the display panel on the inside of the panic coffin, peering through the tiny camera, reading the status of her home. Everything is devastated, of course. The windows, despite being bulletproof, are mostly blown out. and all of her artwork has been scorched to ashes. It seems as though Nando was carrying around some powerful explosives in his marrow. The lack of windows does have one upside. The toxic fumes, which were there to kill off anyone not caught in the blast, will be vented soon. Harriet will have to leave Armstrong within the next 3 hours and never come back. As she has so often, she rues the day she met Nando Colton. If you liked this story and would like to hear more, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. A new short story is uploaded every Wednesday, and there will occasionally be another one in between if I find the time. Thank you very much for listening and have a great day.